Let go, and you will be free. One of the most powerful tools in the 12-step method. Many people ask me, Avi, what is the meaning of let go and be free? It's really, it's a very serious dilemma to explain something that is so simple and so complex and touches essentially on all realms of therapy. What is the purpose of therapy? What is the essence of therapy? What is the essence of the path? What is the essence of life? And truly, it puts us in a very serious dilemma regarding our traumas in life, the dramas we have in life, our worldviews, our beliefs, the difficulties we have, essentially touching all areas of life. And essentially, what the 12 steps imply is that you don't have a problem here and a problem there. You have a problem in all areas of life. One problem is your mind. One problem is everything you've experienced throughout life. And actually all the suffering, all the discomfort, all the difficulties, all the traumas rely on an internal system that sustains the suffering, the discomfort, the difficulties we have in daily life. So what is this thing about release and be released? Basically, those familiar with the 12 steps method understand that people come to groups and they release what they're going through. And the amazing and wonderful and magical thing you see there is that there's no response. A person can say that they feel like dying, like committing suicide, that they had a hard day, that they had a complex day. And no one comforts him and no one says a word to him. They move on to the next speaker who can say, I feel like getting divorced, I feel like killing myself, I feel like killing the kids, I can't endure anything in life anymore. There's no reaction. They continue to the next speaker. And the question arises whether the people there are lacking empathy, lacking the ability. Why don't they respond? First of all, if people were responding to each other, it would lead to endless disagreements, to arguments about who is right, whose suggestion is better, whose way is better. But when we really, really think deeply, is there anyone who can give advice to someone else? It is reasonable to assume that, unlike the number of people, so is the number of ways. Each person has their own unique way. Each person will go through their unique internal journey. Each person may pass through the same jungle, but at other crossroads, we might have the same goal, but the paths to reach the same spiritual place, there are endless paths. As many as there are people who will go through the spiritual journey in their lives. The journey of healing, the deep inner shamanic journey of recovery that each person wants and needs to go through in life, and therefore each person comes with different baggage, with different difficulties. It might sound the same in language. We are all angry, but each of us is angry about different things. We might have resentments towards our parents, but each of us has complex and different resentments with their own subjective personal history. It could be that we were ignored, but each one received it differently, and therefore the healing process will be different. And so when we take all the components of life that each person goes through, their composition, their quality is completely different. And so I can give an answer to someone or offer a suggestion. But the proposal or answer I give will always be either from theories I've read, or books I've read, or from my life experience, which is the worst, and then I will believe that my theory or life experience suits that person at the right moment, at the precise specific moment. And in my life experience, already 32 years in the spiritual journey, I can tell you that there is no such thing as everyone having their own time in recovery, their own pace in healing. His unique crossroads that he goes through, his unique challenges that he needs to experience, and therefore there is no person in the world who can know what to tell me or what advice to give me. And certainly I cannot give advice to anyone in life except for the one piece of advice I can say to people: go on the spiritual journey. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. The reward of the spiritual journey is inconceivable. In my personal life, I have gained peace. I gained self-acceptance. I gained acceptance of life. I do not argue with myself. I do not argue with politicians. I am not in conflict with my parents. I'm not in conflict with society. I'm not in conflict with the establishment. I'm not in conflict with people in life. I gained freedom from people, places, things, and situations. And I can live in deep, deep, deep peace with myself, so I know it works. What works? But each person will need to use a toolkit to find their path. What we can provide people is a toolkit for their unique journey. Release and be released is from one of the richest toolboxes in the 12 steps. I don't know any other way in life that has so many practical, pragmatic tools for everyday application. And release and be released is the core essence of what it means to work the 12-step program. It sounds simple, come and talk, that's it. But it's not that simple from personal experience and deep familiarity with psychologists, social workers, and therapists of all kinds. The broad therapeutic requests from Freud, Jung, Klein, Winnicott, Kohut, and countless therapists who brought wonderful contributions to the world and wrote amazing theories. There is one problem with all these theories. It's about letting go and delving in, talking, but let's try to understand why. Why are you suffering? Let's try to understand more deeply what the characteristics are, what the reasons are, what you've been through, what the processes are. Maybe there are things you deny, repress, and in fact the whole therapeutic endeavor is to try to uncover the unconscious. Expose what is there based on the assumption of the therapeutic world that if we know what exists in the person's unconscious, if he talks about it, if he brings it to awareness, he will be freed from it. In my personal experience and acquaintance, and heaven forbid, I do not judge any psychologist or theoretician. I teach Klein, Freud, Jung, Winnicott, Kohut, Truly Frankl, Erich Fromm, all of them I teach, and I love them for sitting down, invested, try to understand the mechanism, our mental mechanism, how it works, this thing, how the system works. But there is one thing common to Carl Jung and the 12 steps that does not involve revealing the unconscious. But they talk about connecting with the unconscious, which are two different things, that we actually have a system of emotions, perceptions, beliefs, things that prevent us from connecting to our inner power, our inner healer, our natural nature, and essentially our whole lives, manage to escape from ourselves and not to connect with ourselves. Now, even on a psychological level, it's about some dimension of connection. But here it is about connecting to a deeper level, to something at the core of our being. Jung called it the collective unconscious. The 12 steps speak the same language, with the same breath, touching on archetypal dimensions, our deep myths, the myth of God, the myth of love, the myth of compassion, our deep archetypes of compassion, love, giving, that exist in the universal collective unconscious of all of us. When we speak in the 12 steps on love, we talk about the collective archetype of universal love, something that touches the existential human dimension of each one of us, and essentially our ultimate goal. It is connecting to our collective unconscious in the spiritual journey. It is a journey into the depths of the soul, not into the depths of life, not to reach external goals. People who seek external goals are those who have experienced a threat, people who live the spirit of the time, the spirit of the era. They sacrifice their lives on the altar of goals that have almost no purpose in life, to conquer another target, another mountain, another task, another achievement, another. And actually, all these goals, the moment you achieve them, you realize that the desire you had then to achieve it, as soon as you touch it, it vanishes. It disappears into a new desire. You become hungrier, more yearning, more longing for something much bigger, much more powerful, more love, more attention, more recognition, all in the realm of the spirit of the era. In contrast to the people, there are individuals whose entire characteristic in their spiritual enlightenment is to connect to the spirit of the depths, to know who they are. What is their true self? What is their authentic self? What is that internal idiom, that inner core, that inner point from which the day ends? The wounded healer archetype exists deeply there, which is at the core of your being, which is essentially the central thing. That creates healing, creates movement in a world of growth, of purpose, of true destiny. And eventually, at the end of the day, you'll feel satisfied with what you've done. And these are people whose satisfaction comes not from fulfilling their desires, but from listening their desires. Our desires are essentially composed of the spirit of the times. I want a new iPhone, a new car, a new house, more love, more achievements, more money, more wealth, more possessions, more prestige. Everything is in the dimension, the spirit of the times that is always changing. The fashion of the spirit of the times is a fashion that constantly changes. In the spirit of the depths, nothing changes. The truths that are eternal are eternal. And my deep connection with myself is eternal. It is beyond the dimension of space, beyond the dimension of time. It is not related to any era. It is related to the deep essence of my universal dimensions. And therefore, when we talk about letting go and being freed, we are talking about a person who makes an inner journey, encounters some barrier, some trauma, some pain, some anger, and then the purpose of the discussion. The aim is to release in order to enter a few centimeters, another dimension inward. And therefore, the tool of let go and be freed is really not to deal with our past, because if I deal with my past, I will deal with my future. People who are guided by their future and past are those who cannot connect to the spirit of the depths. Being in the spirit of the depths is to be in this moment, in the here and now, just for today. And you cannot live just for today if the past controls you. The nature of our consequences is that when the past controls me, I project it onto the future. And basically, I'm like a person who lives like windshield wipers in a car. Past, future, past, future, past, future, past, future. And it's like a washing machine that spins all day, and the mind doesn't rest. And therefore, when the mind doesn't rest, you can't reach the spirit of the depths. Therefore, let go and be free is the antithesis of psychological treatment. There's nothing to understand in the intellect at all. There is nothing to analyze about anything. Sitting down to analyze people who are post-traumatic, who are addicted, who suffer from addiction to drama, from addiction to depression, from addiction to anxiety, is futile. The concept of steps is a waste of time, dear. Release, delve deeper. Release, go even deeper inside. Out of a deep understanding that there is a spiritual dimension, that you want to reveal God as you understand Him, your higher power as you understand it, that you want to connect with it, that you want to unite with it, that you want to be within the inner natural dimension with which we came into the world. We came into the world with something pure and clean, and we want to return and reconnect to that feeling, to that wonderful unity that existed within us. We experienced it in the collective memory. We all experienced this universal collective unity. That is without distinction of age, race, gender, religion, nationality, belief or lack of belief. It simply exists in human nature. The whole feeling of our separateness in life is because of our ego, which creates for us this feeling that we are different, look different. With different hair, I don't have different colored hair, different eyes, origins, ethnicities, countries. All these are things related to our ego. And within every group that identifies with itself, if you take a group that identifies with itself, there are internal conflicts. And people do not identify with each other within the group, and there are disagreements and quarrels. And within every family, people do not identify. There are conflicts, there are splits. There are, meaning our work on the subject is not related to gender, color, nationality, political opinion, or anything else. The split is inherent, the duality is inherent, and therefore our ultimate goal, with this tool of the 12 steps of letting go and being freed, it's to free myself from things that capture my attention daily, to free myself from daily dramas, to free myself from false beliefs I have, to free myself from my illusions, to free myself from my denial, to free myself from my rationalization, to free myself from my intellectualization, to free myself from things that control me. Our work is always to place ourselves on the axis of time. What do I want? To live in the spirit of the time, in changing and shifting fashion, or do I want to live the spirit of the depths? And if we look at all the wise men throughout the generations, all our spiritual fathers, from Moses, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Buddha, Laozi, philosophers, Socrates, Plato, you can walk through period after period and see what the wise ones did. What did all our spiritual ancestors do? Did they engage with the spirit of the times, or did they engage with the spirit of the depths and seek very deep truths, regardless of whether they found them or not, regardless of whether what they said is true or not? Does it matter to us what they were engaged in fashion that changes, or in the spirit of the depths? Therefore, the topic of let go and be free is also a simple tool for everyday life. You had an accident, something happened to you, you get fired from your job. Do not try to trap yourself in the wheels of obsessions and compulsions. Why was I let go? Complaints, anger, anxieties, fears, guilt, regret, blame. Do not go with this negativity in your life. Understand that everything is precise, that it arrived at exactly the right time. But to understand that you have divine providence, that you are guided from above, that you have a spirit of love in your life, which knows exactly what you need, exactly where you need to be, and sometimes things need to be taken from us. You need to let go of anger, release frustrations, but to be free when I speak. What is the purpose of my speech? To perpetuate, to look for more people to justify me. When they tell me, yes, you're right, do it to him, take revenge, get back at him. Pray that he will crash, fall, or someone tells me, did you let go? Come on, onward and forward, let go. It's hard for us to let go, hard for us to hand over, hard for us to relax, but that's the essence of the work of the 12 steps. That's the essence. Release and be released. It is the essence of all 12 steps. I see I have a problem, I return to sanity, and I surrender to my higher power. I can continue with all 12 steps. We've only covered the first 3 now. Let go, release. And I say it's all his will. Everything is precise. If an event, drama, or tragedy happened in my life, that's what was meant to happen. Good or bad, it's not relevant. That's what happened. That's what was supposed to happen. Let go and be free of it. Don't carry it with you. You don't want to let it go? Talk again. Say, it's hard for me to let it go. Don't repeat the same story and the same drama. Move from person to person, from place to place. From one therapeutic session to the next, come with the anger and resentments you have towards your parents, towards the establishment, towards the education system, towards those who forbade your socialization, towards those who hurt you sexually, physically, those who abused you emotionally. There is no solution to this. There is no purpose. The purpose of our work in life, and this is what I love so much about the 12 steps, is to say, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Everything I cannot change, I need to understand. I cannot change the past. But what can I do? I can let it go. I can free myself from it. People tell me, Avi, it's impossible to let go of the past. I tell them, love you all. I worked the program worked on me, and my past hasn't managed me for many years. For many years, in no dimension. Not cognitive, not emotional, not in my memory system, not in my trauma system. Everything was cleansed. Everything seemingly as if it doesn't exist. I have to make an effort to remember that something happened. Because if I want to tell someone something, to create empathy and identification, I really have to make an effort. And because in a system where there's no pain, everything was full of pain, anger, resentment, hurt, humiliation. There is no pain in it, and therefore when there is no pain, the traumatic memory also vanishes. It really dissipates, and that's my immense gratitude to this tool called Let Go and Be Freed. Look, people, in many cases I see that they really don't want to let go of this story. They understand the concept of release and be released. They understand that they need to let go of the story they had about themselves, about life, about what happened to them in life. And we have a traumatic attachment to the story, as if it's an unchangeable fact, but it's only a subjective experience, not a fact of reality. On my subjective level, that's how I built the movie for myself, produced it, directed it. In reality, no one experienced the things I did. It's only on my subjective level. And ask yourself if I want to live in suffering my whole life. Do I want to drag the cart of this past all my life? Do I want to relive my traumas all my life? Do I want to relive destructive relationships all my life? Each and every one of you needs to ask yourselves a simple question. It wasn't good for you, let it go. But I understand the deep internal wish. Why people don't let go? They want correction. They want compensation. I understand that. They want someone to come and say to them, I hurt you. I apologize. I want to compensate you for this. You were wronged in life. I understand that. What I just want to tell you is that it won't happen. It simply won't happen. It's painful to say, but it simply won't happen for you. No one will do it for you. No one will do it. No one will really give you the compensation you feel you deserve. I lived like this for decades, hoping and expecting. And I suffered, and it didn't happen. But when I took full responsibility for my recovery, and that's the whole idea, the responsibility for my recovery, for my life, is 100% mine. The results the actions of my recovery depend solely on me taking full responsibility. And we are also letting go of the results. We let go because we understand that the outcome is not the point. Outcomes are only for people who live the spirit of the era and the spirit of the time. They live outcomes. I no longer live outcomes in my life. For me, there can be a bad outcome in life, but I did an amazing action. I did an act of transcendence. I did an action that uplifted my spirit. I did something extraordinary. I rose above my self-interest. I touched upon some deep point of the meaning of life. In that moment, I stood for a brief moment with a feeling of the eternity of life. For just a moment, what is a small fleeting moment, I managed to grasp the dimension of eternity in the world, in life. Wow, what a crazy thing. What does the external outcome matter? What does it matter what happens outside? What matters is how I feel in my inner journey. And if I experience moments of spiritual sweetness, I will feel drawn to delve further inward. I'll say, wow, I want more of that. It's like a child. You give them something sweet, and they say, I want more of it because it tastes good to them. Do I want to taste the delights of the spirit, the spiritual treats, the sweetness in spirituality? Will I take another small step inward? Will I enter another special moment inward? It's up to you. If you turn to the spirit of the depths, I am in love with the spirit of the depths. I don't care about what I have or don't have outside. It's not relevant to my life anymore. All that matters to me is this moment. Trying to rise above myself a bit more. Because people who live by the spirit of the time and era are busy competing with everyone outside. Oh, he has a better house, a new car, a cool phone, cool clothes. People in the spirit of the depths, they try to elevate themselves, but to rise above their own ego, to rise above the attraction to what happens outside. And therefore, they experience deep satisfaction. Who is the hero? The one who conquers his desires. Let's say another thing. He who conquers his desires is like he conquered a besieged city. Release what is happening outside, and it's a long process. Because every time we see something, we're like, wow, this is new. It wasn't there before. Such a thing has never been. I remember when I started studying at the university, I said, okay, I haven't been an academic yet. I don't have a matriculation certificate. I didn't finish 8th grade. Such a thing has never been. Ecclesiastes says, there is nothing new under the sun. And so, life experience is also needed. So sometimes various things attracted me. But I always returned to the spirit of the depths. I never left it, no matter if something attracted me. It was for a short period. And I returned to the spirit of the depths. I remember at university I wanted to be an outstanding student, Dean's List honors. In the first 2 months, it captivated me until the end of the semester. I did some soul searching and said to myself, what does it matter if you become a Dean's List student or not? What does it matter what grades you finish with? What does it matter to whom? Now, it's really true, but when you're a student for the first time in your life, and you experience success for the first time in your life, and you want to be like everyone else, it still draws you in. And I remember that during the semester, I reflected and returned to the spirit of the depths. And I said to myself, the path is important. The actions you take are important. Your personal providence, God loves you as you are. You don't need to be excellent. Relax. Let go of this obsession. But I remember that moment when I experienced God taking this obsession away from me. What freedom I felt. And I continued to do it because it was necessary. Actions without expectations of results, without competing with the world, without competing with other students. It's so pathetic that you're competing with other people. It's like, but I didn't understand it at first. I needed to experience it. To return to the spirit of the depths, then release and be freed. Release your wife and be freed. Release your children and be freed. Release your bosses and be freed. Release your workers and be freed. Release your past and be freed from the future. This is an incredible frequency. And so, if someone comes to me for therapy and tells me, Avi, predict for me pleasures regarding my parents today, and I talk to him and let him release it, I don't start pulling him in to make him understand and bring me more and more and more and more content from there. It doesn't interest me. Next week when I meet him, for me it's like meeting a new patient for the first time. The first time every week I meet people for the first time, whether they are students or patients. For me, every moment a new person sits in front of me who may have freed themselves from everything that controlled them. And I do not create in him a conditioning or expectation or wish to bring me his traumas and pain and suffering, but rather to accept him in this moment as he is. From an internal work perspective, I say if I have awakened, if I have had a spiritual experience, he can also have a spiritual experience. He can also awaken. Awaken to what? To the ignorance in holding on to our past, to the ignorance in trying to control our future, awakening to the ignorance in the nature of our consequences in our false beliefs that we have absorbed endlessly, awakening to our distorted worldview. And once a person experiences this experience, boom, it's over. Nothing. The past is dead. There's no need to dwell on it. There's only a process of loss, of mourning, of a wasted life, over years of wasting and investing energy in things that do not exist in reality. They exist only in consciousness, in memory. They're not there anymore. If I don't remind myself every day of what happened, no, nothing exists. If I don't hold on, and my ego doesn't hold on to the traumas, they wouldn't be there. They'd gradually evaporate. And if something comes up, they speak up, release, let the person talk as much as he wants, how he wants, without judging him, without criticizing him, without telling him what's right and what's wrong, finally telling him, release, let go. The ultimate mission is to let go, not to obsessively and compulsively focus on things that will inevitably lead you to physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual stagnation. Let it go, let go. If you have a wish for something, release it. If you have a hope for something, release it. It's hard for people because, in the end, it brings you to this moment, to see reality as it is. In this moment, there isn't much drama, there is tranquility. One must know how to work with this silence, how to be present within this silence, how silence is God, and God is silence. And within all this is love, immense love, to life, to people, to nature, to the wonders in the world, to this magic, this thing called life, to the wonder in people's eyes, seeing them having a spiritual experience, how they learn to love, how they learn to live with each other. A true wonder, simply a true wonder, a miracle of miracles. So, I love you. And after you listen to this video, let go and be free. Because next time I speak, it will be someone else and about something else. And it could be that everything I say next time will be entirely different. And it could also be that I will contradict myself. So in this moment, even after what you heard, let go and release. And also do not express any opinion on what I said. Try to do that.